This is the most super of all Super Cyber Fridays, everybody. Why is that? Because I have too many video sources, they say. I can't. Oh, because Aaron is the sixth video source, so I can't show you my slideshow. All right, well, I'll just tell you what it is, everybody. Today's topic is Hacking CISO Series. It's our 4th anniversary show, everyone. We've got 15 guests today. You are seeing 4 of them right now. And our sponsor today, and I would show their big, gorgeous, beautiful logo, and that is Trend Micro. Yay, Trend Micro for sponsoring us. We love Trend Micro for sponsoring us. They've been actually sponsored since the beginning. Now, I've got a question for the audience, and that is, how has the CISO Series community made you 10% better? I want to hear your answers in the chat room. Let's hear it. Please let us know. And also, I just want to mention to everybody down below, there's a link that's promoting next week's Super Cyber Friday, which is Hacking Cloud Security Innovation, an hour of critical thinking of how securing the cloud must evolve. And so I will just say that we all know that this is a big issue. So you can click on that link at any time during this. Will not take you out of this, and you can register for next week. And remember, if you register for next week early, like now, you're automatically entering the raffle. And huge applause for Jacob Friedman of InfraGard, because he won an awesome CISO Series jacket for registering early. You could be cool like Jacob if you register early as well. So click that button at the bottom of the screen. All right, enough being said. I have all the hosts for Defense in Depth and CISO Series podcasts in front of you right now. Thank you, gentlemen. That's let me read them all off. They're different on your screen. So the other person with a lot of hair and glasses, that's Steve Zalewski. The other person with hair, that's Jeff Belknap. Steve used to be the CISO
Glad I still qualify for this.
Levi Strauss. Jeff is the CISO over at LinkedIn. And then there's Mike Johnson, who is the very first co-host of any show on the CISO Series. He's been there since day one. Used to be the CISO of Lyft, now the CISO of Fastly. And right there, if you look over his right shoulder, he has a My Favorite CISO
the CISO Series Award.
A custom-designed award, one of a kind, made
by
one
himself.
of our producers, Andrew Friels, who you'll meet in just a second. And
the betrayal.
I'm sure the other 3 CISOs are very, very jealous. Is that true, Steve?
How does it feel to be second, third, and fourth best, Jeff?
How do you even know that you made it to second best? You might be fifth best. Fifth favorite CISO right over there.
I don't need awards to tell me how good I am.
Oh, look at that.
Tell you how
You
good
mean you
you
can't
are,
get
Mike.
awards to tell you how good you
Mike's
are?
got self-esteem, Andy.
Yes,
You
I
may have
right.
ego, but Mike's got self-esteem.
I'm just
I'm
going
good.
with my hair. I've got hair.
I've got hair too.
Y'all have got that going for you.
Yeah, that's what makes us all better CISOs, right? I'm not a CISO at all. Hey, anyways, again, community, I want to know how the CISO series helped you. I just want to hear from you. I get lots of wonderful feedback from the community on the CISO series. I'm wondering what's the feedback that you've been hearing over the time that you've been on it, and more importantly, what the value has been to you. And then I got actually a follow-up question on all this, but let me just start with that. Anyone jump on in? You've heard nothing? This is the quietest I've seen this group of loudmouths I've ever.
Sorry, I was reading the chat on the side, so I missed the question entirely.
The question is, what's the feedback you've heard?
Oh, I'm
actually, I got great feedback on a recent show. Somebody said, you know, that whole thing about like you lighting a paper on fire and sliding it through a door to set off the motion detector. They're like, you know, you can just do that with compressed air and not risk burning up the building, right? Those are my favorite pieces of feedback when I get somebody who's like, you were technically correct, but kind of dumb.
Yeah, I remember giving you crap for that. Like, really? You want to test lighting the house
It
on
worked.
fire?
It worked.
Yeah, yeah.
I like the compressed air better though.
I'll say at RSA, it got me a table at a bar. So somebody came up and said, Steve, love the show, love what you're doing. We're about to leave. Do you want the table? So I was like, it was worth it right there.
Which bar at RSA though?
At the W.
Ooh, okay. Those tables are pretty.
Yeah,
Those are hard to come by
during RSA. So
an
that is
RSA.
a coup to get
That is a coup. So
I'll give the real answer, which is I've heard several people tell me that they really enjoyed going deeper into the conversation and sort of pulling apart an issue. I think whether it's something technical, but I also hear from a lot of people on the security industry side that are like, this is great to get into the mind of, what people are buying or how we should approach CISOs and how we can make CISOs' lives better. And I love that we can help on both sides of the aisle, so to speak.
Mike, let me ask you this question, Mike Johnson.
And I'll add to the general feedback is it's practical. We're not talking about pie in the sky. We're talking about what do you have to do something about the bad guys, right? I mean, that kind of transparent, authentic, what do you got to do? So what, now what is, kind of the consistent feedback as well that I get, like Jeff.
Well, also the thing that we also constantly hear is I only have my view of security. Like in my little world, it's great to hear other people's views of what they're dealing with. Mike Johnson, we started this whole thing, back in 2018 because there was not a pleasant experience between vendors and practitioners, or vendors and CISOs. Anecdotally, I'll say it looks a lot better now. I don't see nearly the animosity. What do you think, and the rest of you, I want to know.
So I'll admit that I've got certainly a biased view now, but it does feel like things have changed. And I would like to say that we had a part of that, maybe even just a small part.
We've been audited, and it says we did have a part.
Okay. Well, I mean, when you've got a third-party auditor that's giving you
we paid a third-party auditor to say that we did.
Yes.
Which is the way most of these reports are designed.
That's how we do our jobs in general. But no,
does the audit report look like Andy's award? Because I feel like it might be.
It's with crayon. So yes. But no, it does really feel like the discourse has shifted, and frequently we'll see something where there'll be people pointing fingers, at least on LinkedIn, where someone else will chime in and go, hey, have you seen or heard about the CISO series? And some people have and some people haven't. And I think the fact that people are introducing the CISO series into those conversations says that we've actually at least left a trail behind us where people can learn from and maybe change some behavior.
That's it. Have you, by the way, have the rest of you, because this was our original mission, which, it's still our mission, but we've evolved over time. Have you seen the sort of the animosity decrease and sort of the relationship between CISOs improve and practitioners improve?
I think it's hard to say about, like,
and again, it's
everybody.
Anecdotal. What?
There are a lot of sales representatives who have gotten better, who are trying to improve, who understand the harm they're doing to their business. There's also more and more of them who haven't yet got the message. And so I certainly see this. And I have this weird thing that, like, I have an inbox that says I'm a CISO on it. I've got an inbox that says I'm an operating partner. I've got an inbox that says I'm a small business CEO. I will tell you, I still get lots of sales spam, and it's awful. In fact, now the automation is killing me. Like, I have people who don't even read my replies. So they send me a message, I say
ran into that too.
and I get the same message comes in 3 days later as if I didn't do anything. And I'm like,
it's because it's just based on their CRM. Their CRM's doing auto response.
right, their CRM's doing the whole thing.
And I got so I didn't realize that was going on, and I got so angry with him. Like, are you not reading my responses?
Yeah,
and
I find somebody else
he
at the company to report it to.
But to be fair, that's not just unique to our world.
No. Well, and that's the thing is, like, I'm getting some of
general.
these not as a CISO. So I get them from people who are like, oh, hey, here's how we do deal flow for your VC fund.
Yeah.
I will say my take here is hearts and minds, one at a time. And I know from my perspective is there's a set of up and coming sales reps where when we talk with them, right, and they're trying to formulate how they want to establish relationships, that farming versus hunting, I think we're making some difference. It's going to take a while before more and more people notice it, but I would say we're making a difference. We're moving the ship slowly but surely towards where it needs to be.
Yeah, I feel like Steve's right. We're making generational change. The next generation of salespeople are not going to have the same problems and stresses of the first generation.
Yep.
All right. I think we're at the point where we have to bring on our producers. So thank you, gentlemen.
Love y'all.
We're gonna
Here come
bring
the real stars of the show, everybody.
So stay tuned. We've got lots of guests on this show. I want Aaron and Andrew back on right now. Thank you. Thank you very much for dropping them off. Are you dropping them, Aaron? Let me just say the great testimonials here. I love the fact that Mike Wilkes said that now he's got an answer to what podcast do you recommend. That's awesome. It says that they're still connecting, so I don't know if they're fully dropped off here. Now they're finally dropping off. So here comes, that's Andrew Friels, everybody, the gentleman with the hat on, concealing he does not have any hair.
I'm not ashamed. It's just cold in here.
By the way, Aaron, who's actually the line producer, the one who's producing this show right now as you speak. So he's doing double duty as we speak. He is being a guest, and and by the way, of all our guests, I believe Aaron has the most hair. I believe. So you win for that respect. It's all
David has a crazy obsession with our guest and hair.
Well, not that much for that matter. But anyways, we just have a few minutes. I want to just say that kudos to both of you. What do you think the big thing that a lot of people don't understand in terms of producing a show, Andrew and Aaron? What do you think is the big thing?
How much work goes into it? How much of it is not sexy? How much of it is just routine grind? But it's important, and that's what makes it.
Yeah, there's a lot. There is so much behind the scenes that we don't see. You don't see. It's astounding. Yeah, because right now we're publishing 9 episodes a week on top of all the videos that we post and the other, like the memes and things like that. We're constantly in production mode. Andrew, Aaron, what do you think is the other big thing you don't think people realize what goes on?
Just how much you have to stay ahead of the game and focused on new technology. Just like in the world of cybersecurity, you always want to stay ahead of what's going on. Same with media production. It is right now we've been investigating this new AI and how that works with graphics.
Oh yeah, video search. We're doing a video search AI technology we're looking at. Yeah, because I personally have been in media for a long time, and I know that people get bored after a period of time, and you got to entertain them with something else, something new.
Right, but just staying on top of the storylines as far as cybersecurity storylines to bring to the show, different technology storylines that are going on. It just helps keep you on your toes. And every day it's challenging, but every day is a lot of fun as well.
Oh yeah, and just on top of that, it's trying to stay like. Every time there's a new way to promote or to do something in your show, everybody starts doing it, and it's really figuring out how to stay on top of these new trends without being too trendy and getting lost in that kind of that wave there. So, still being true to the CISO series branding as well.
Yeah, staying consistent with branding. I can't stress that enough. It's one thing to just publish a podcast and get it out there, but to get all the branding elements consistent with the music, which the images, some of the people who are involved in the CISO series are not here, like our designer, our web developer. They are critical to that branding look. Oh, and then also the Julie, who's the voice of the CISO series as well. She's not here. All critical elements of the whole branding episode. And I would say that the newest edition, now we have an events page, which was something a long time in coming. And I appreciate, Andrew, you getting that up and going.
Yeah, it was really important to, we have Crowdcast here, YouTube, LinkedIn, getting all of that into one.
And the live events now that are coming back as well.
One place. So go check it out, CISOseries.com/events, but not yet. Stay here.
What do you do? Yeah, well, yes. They have they can open multiple windows.
Sure.
Check the link. There's a link. I just dropped a link.
You dropped the link? Oh, yeah, he dropped the link. So someone can open it up and not jump out. Anything last you want to tell our audience, and what would you might like from our audience that they're not giving, or that something new you might like from them, make your life easier?
Personally, I think it would be cool to get some feedback of things that we're not doing.
Yes,
I love positive feedback.
In fact, let's put it in the chat window. We are happy to address other issues. Yes.
What are we not doing, Aaron, that you want us to see?
Aaron, anything from you?
And what are we doing correctly? Do you love our newsletter? Do you want to change anything about that? Let us know. We're always looking to tweak and bring you guys more content, bring you better content, better curated content. We're in the process of kind of tweaking our newsletter right now. So if there's something that you love about our newsletter, please let me know so we don't take it away from you. Or if there's something you don't like, let us know as well.
You're going to see a massive revamp in the newsletter because we're not happy with what it is now. This has been a long time coming. Anyways, let's bring on our next guest, please.
We will, but also it's a community that we love. So thank you guys for showing up every week.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Let's bring on our next guest. David Spark face tattoo. Oh my God, what an awful, awful idea, Dustin. It's just a truly awful idea. All right, so our next guest is from Trend Micro. It is Mike Milner, and he'll be joining us in just a second. And I want to give massive kudos to Trend Micro. Trend Micro has been with us. There he is, Mike Milner of Trend Micro. And they are actually, Trend Micro is sponsoring next week's show. Let me remind everybody again, click the link at the bottom of the screen to register for next week. Remember, you click early, you're automatically entered in to win in a raffle to win a CISO Series jacket. All right, Mike, this is what I want to set you up with. You guys have been an awesome long-time sponsor. Trend Micro has been around for a long time. Nobody in our audience is not aware. I did a double negative, but everyone in our audience is very aware of who Trend Micro is. And I know that there's been a hard time, sort of brushing off the past image of we're just an antivirus company, which I know it's a lot more than that. But we're going to be talking about cloud security, which we have discussed plenty of times on this show. Let me ask you, 4 years ago, because that's when we started, what do you think have been the biggest changes in cloud security?
Oh, 4 years. First, I want to say congratulations. 4 years is an accomplishment, David. The biggest thing I'm seeing over the past few years is, at the start of the cloud revolution, it was all about kind of new features, getting things done, like those core building block essentials. Now we're starting to see cloud vendors add kind of those hooks, places for security to get in and kind of do its job a little bit better. And of course, we're seeing industry really jump onto those capabilities and deliver that functionality to customers to keep them secure.
And one of the things, and I was talking about this with a few security professionals last night in a meetup. By the way, if anyone is watching, is in the San Diego area, please come to our monthly meetups. You can ping me for more details on that. But I had mentioned this to you, and that was with every single major breach we see, I mean, I want to say all, it seems close to all, are some cloud vulnerability, and it was super simple, and it's like it's not a new problem, yet it's still happening. Why is it? And it's like, are we just going to always have these problems? Because the thing is, there's certain areas of cybersecurity that have been solved, but this is one that just keeps getting us kicked again and again.
Yeah, when you do get breached, no one wants to get breached, but if you do get breached, you want it to be like a nation state or something like that, right? So you can say, oh my goodness, we didn't stand a chance. But, it often is something really, really simple, S3 bucket with all your files left open to the world, or, something very simple in hindsight, looking back, that really you should have caught much, much earlier. And I'll never say that something is a solved problem in security, because people find new ways of leaving themselves vulnerable. But something as simple as a misconfiguration, particularly in the cloud, should be solved.
What do you think then, if it's not solved, what do you think has been innovated in security, specifically cloud security, in the past 4 years? Where do you think the innovations have happened so far? Because we've still got plenty to go.
Yeah, so cloud security posture management, CSPM, is really in its concept of simple tool. It just looks at your cloud, checks all the configuration of all your resources, and just tells you, hey, there's something here, probably not the way you want it. Now that sounds simple. There's a lot more to it. You have to triage and know what you have to address first, but there's really no excuse for not finding the really, really basic stuff.
That's a very good point. So the great thing about our audience, and I want to remind our audience that this is just really a tease for the conversation we're going to have next week. Click the link at the bottom of the screen. As you can see, our audience is very engaged here. What is it you would like to learn from our community as to how they're handling the cloud? Because we're going to have an open discussion, not about classic issues, but where the innovation needs to happen, where they've seen sort of the greatest strides themselves. So what do you want to learn from them?
Yeah, this is the thing I find most interesting and exciting about cloud technologies is the big cloud providers are releasing new functionality, and they have an idea in mind of how it's going to be used, and often an idea of how it's going to be secured. But the thing about the cloud is people can do all sorts of new and unexpected things with it. So I would love to hear from everyone. what are you doing that you're having trouble keeping secure, trouble getting a handle on it, or worried about that's causing you concern? I'd love to know.
But it'd be interesting to know both ways, because what did you think was going to work and didn't work? And then what did you were surprised worked in a way that you didn't expect? Because that does happen. Like, we see unforeseen benefits of tools out there as well. I'm getting you on this. Can you think of an example of an unforeseen benefit with a tool?
Well, I don't know if unforeseen is real, but look at something like S3, and we talk about misconfigurations. But at its core, S3 stores data. And when you're trying to solve or understand a security breach or security incident, the thing you want is data. So something as simple as S3, which we often talk about being, misconfigured, is also one of the best power tools for understanding an attack or a breach, because you can actually store and retain the data you need to have a good understanding of what's going on in your system. Simple capability used for good use.
Very, very good point. Well, I am very, very thrilled to have you on, Mike Milner, who is with Trend Micro. I'm so thrilled. And I just want to say once again, not only has Trend Micro been around for a while, but they've been doing this for a long time. And they've got a real significant history, specifically with cloud, on-prem, then to cloud. So if you've got a mixed environment, they're ones that have dealt with this for a long period of time. And I think that sort of the history and the knowledge of that plays well to work with lots of different players in this space. So thank you again for sponsoring. We're looking forward to having you back again next week, which we will have from, remind me again who we're going to have next week. Who's joining us? Mike.
So we've got me and Mark. We're going to be talking about
Mark Haupt, right?
Yes. Everything cloud security, cloud innovation.
All right. Everybody in our audience pays attention to that. Thank you again. It's Mike Milner. We greatly appreciate it. And we're bringing back the hosts as well. There's Andy Ellis and Jeff Belknap, who are there. And then we'll have Steve and Mike Johnson as well. All right, gentlemen, we are going to be, I'm bringing you back on, and then I'm going to bring you back on at the very tail end of the show, of which we'll be playing a game as well. Where's our Mr. Steve Zalewski? He'll be here with us.
He's busy putting on his CISO series thong.
Oh, yeah. What was Valerie was recommending the CISO series?
Yeah, that's apparently going to be the new swag that you're going to give us at the next CISO series anniversary.
By the way, I'm
in Coronado.
I'm going to get, there he is, wearing the CISO series jacket.
I'm getting the jacket waiting for the thong. Okay. I'm half dressed.
Yeah, keep the camera up.
I'm okay with the fleece jackets. Maybe we can just keep it to.
Let's stick with the fleeces.
Yeah.
Good with the fleeces.
I have no thongs, but I am getting other sort of jacket type clothes.
Jacket type
Well, like hoodies and shirts and things like. No thongs have been ordered.
I've been watching Breaking Bad, so you can go with whitey tighties.
Yeah, well,
I'd rather have the thong.
I'd rather have the
fleece thongs Andrew's getting.
You're the only one who wants a thong. I don't see a lot of people eager for the thong. And yeah, Andrew's suggesting the fleece thong. All right.
There you go. It is winter. Winter's coming. So
what is the personal benefit you've gotten since hosting the show?
The fleece.
What? The fleece? Besides me sending you a jacket. What is the personal benefit? Anybody? Have you received any benefit? I'm assuming. I know, by the way, through our community, some people have gotten hired jobs. I don't know if anyone's that you've talked to were previous listeners of the show. Mike Johnson.
So the thing that I personally get from it is talking with fellow CISOs, not in my normal world. Mm-hmm. And I've said this over and over again. I love that I can sit down and talk with someone who's the CISO of, was it Ping, the golf manufacturer?
No. We had TaylorMade.
TaylorMade. I'm sorry. My apologies. But that's not someone who I would normally get to chat with. And last week at our live event, I met the CISO of Impossible Foods. Again, not folks that I would normally have the opportunity to meet with.
We're going to bring him on, by the way.
Awesome. Because he really cool. He'll be a great guest. But that's been my personal thing, is just to be able to pick the brains of folks who have
not
different,
in your world.
Yeah, not in my world, who've solved problems that maybe I don't have yet.
Yeah,
Steve
I feel like
Zalewski or Jeff?
it's the same thing. We have a tight network of CISOs, but it's a relatively small network. Although it might be 150, 200 CISOs as part of that network. We still talk about things the way we see them, and getting new perspective on different ideas all the time is fantastic. I even find our sponsored guests sometimes are really interesting because they come at it from an entirely different perspective that I haven't heard before. So I find it really valuable from that perspective.
In fact, Andy and I did a great sponsored guest episode yesterday that I loved.
We did.
Really
I've really appreciated actually getting to sort of test out new ways of having similar conversations to see like really what resonates. How do you coherently like share this in a concise way? Because that's really the power of communication, is if you can quickly get an idea across to somebody. Also, I've really enjoyed the fact that I have all these people who are going to buy my book that is now available for pre-order. There's now a link in the chat, so you can all go pre-order the book.
Yes, pre-order the book. But let me ask you, do you have any pre-orders currently?
Yes.
4.
Excellent.
Amazon won't tell me how many, and I don't get any visibility on the other platforms, but Amazon will at least tell me what my current sales rank is, but it updates hourly, and I'm not like getting like hundreds of pre-orders an hour.
Well, that's impressive. Steve, what were you about to say?
I was going to say his mom ordered one, I'm sure. So that's one of the 4. But
it's one of the 4.
The thing that I
which of you didn't?
Yeah. We're pacing ourselves to help with that build. We want you to feel good for every hour when you see +1.
Yeah.
The thing that I've enjoyed about this, honestly, and we talk about it, is the ability to ask, guests on. So when I see a security practitioner that I think, is got some unique ideas or is looking at it differently, or is somebody I think who can have more influence, the opportunity to help them build their brand as well as bringing that additional thinking, maverick thinking, or just other perspectives, I find that incredibly valuable for me because it makes sure that I'm trying to stay out of the box as well all the time.
We actually push our guests to do that. For example, perfect example, we were doing a recording the other day and the guest was going to say something that our audience already knew. Like, we know our audience pretty well. And we say, you know what, skip ahead that. They already know that. And so we want to get them into deeper conversations, like you're saying, Steve, with the maverick thinking. All right, I'm going to bring you, we're going to get you back actually in just a couple minutes. Let me drop you off now. We'll get you back. We'll save ourselves a couple time. Oh, getting the chance. Wait, listen, I want to read this quote from David Peach. Getting the chance to speak to CISOs who have already solved problems that I haven't seen yet is a great testimonial of why people should watch or listen to this show. Great quote. By the way, we're going to yank all these quotes here as testimonials of the CISO series. Thank you, everybody. This is a beehive of benefit. That's awesome. By the way, actually, have you heard any, I'll ask the 4 of you, have you heard anything from guests who are like, oh, I didn't think about that, and actually applied it to your own business? Has anyone done that? Look at thought bubbles are going up.
I mean, yes, but I'm hard pressed to like tag what exactly it was. I'm always trying to learn. And sometimes it's just a little thing. It's not like, oh my God, this is this whole huge massive. It's like, oh, I hadn't really thought about that twist on it. Let's try that. No, yeah, that works.
I'll say
tips. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say one of the fun things that happens sometimes is my team's relatively large, and occasionally I'll hear from somebody on the team that listens to the show, and they're like, "Hey, can we talk more about that thing that you brought up? Can we dive into that?" I was like, "Oh, wow, yeah, awesome. Let's go." And that's always fun.
Mike, were you about to say something?
Well, I was basically just going to mirror what Andy said. Is I am certain that I have, and I can't put my finger on any one at the moment, and that's one of the things I enjoy about the show is I get those ideas and go run with them.
I'm going to quote one of the tips that you gave, Andy, and that was when you're dealing with a breach, you're dealing with a disaster, to create the communications that'll go out and just have it pre-written before your actual meeting. And the meeting is a decision whether to release it or not the meeting to have, let's make the communications. Always thought that was a great
piece. So basically you set a time window. And actually I learned that one from Microsoft. Like,
really?
Great advice. A long time ago, Microsoft had a hard time shipping product, and then they pivoted to a model where they said every day we have shippable product. We can do a new point release of everything in Office every single day, and that has to be releasable. You just apply that to incident communications. Every hour you have something you could send out, Now you're just deciding if you are going to send that out.
All right, let's bring our next guests on. We have our video editors are coming on. Thank you very, very much, gentlemen. You'll come back on at the very tail end of the show as well. Let's bring our video editors, Joseph Campanelli and Josh Davis. And I just realized I spelled in my own notes Joseph's last name incorrectly, which I just spelled correctly. So little stats for everybody about video. There's Joe Campanelli, who's
hello.
lovely Las Vegas. And there is Josh Davis as well. So here's a little stat for the two of you. Do you know that we have published in 4 years more than 400 videos?
Yeah.
That's a lot of
all too well.
By the way, that does not include the 100 plus. I think there's been 107 episodes of this show. That doesn't include 107 actual live episodes of this show. Or, I'm sorry, I didn't even include all the live episodes we do of the Weekend Review show, which these shows are not edited. So we've released 400 videos that have been edited. Let me say that. 400 videos that have been edited, more than 400. I think like 412 actually, because there's another group I didn't check out. So these two gentlemen do a lot of work editing videos as well. Joe, I'll start with you, Joe, because you've been with me the longest here. What have you seen has been the biggest change, and also our desire to change these videos over time?
Well, it feels like the industry is constantly changing. I mean, and you have to respond to that. I mean, what's cybersecurity? It just seems like there's some new challenge every year, every month, every week, and so I feel with our content, we've had to constantly respond to that and stay on top of things, and which is good for us. It keeps us, keeps things exciting here and us on our toes, as you know, and just responding to what's out there.
And Josh, by the way, was responsible for these 5-minute highlights videos we were making as well. But now we've changed into these vertical videos, of which you are going to, if you want to go take a look, we are actually on Instagram and TikTok and on, no, we're not on YouTube Shorts, but soon, whatever. But this is sort of a soft launch announcement because there's a lot more that we want to do it before we make it a big blowout. What do you think has been the biggest change of changing the formats, Josh?
Oh, definitely content selection. We've gone from almost trying to tell a story of what the live stream represented to just, kind of not really random, but it's the top 5 moments, to now this 15 to 30 second format. Completely changes what I'm looking for as an editor, what we can bring out to really help people understand what y'all are doing here. That's definitely the biggest. That's always changing.
Going back to what Joe just said moments ago is, we were changing these things because people's behavior started to change. And this is what we've noticed in video. And this is I've noticed in media is that people will like something at one time and then there'll be a point they stop liking that thing. And you can't keep pushing them the thing they don't like anymore. And
they don't take it. Yeah.
They don't take it. And so we started to see that those 5-minute videos weren't doing as well as they were doing. So we're like, we're going to change format. We're going to go into a different format. I mean, Joe, you've seen this the most because we've done a lot of evolution over this time.
Absolutely. I mean, the one constant is change, especially on the internet and tech and then video production. Things are just constantly in motion, and we just have to stay on top of it.
Now, both of you are not in cybersecurity. Have you learned a little something about cyber?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I went in here knowing nothing, and it's pretty interesting too.
Are you?
I like to. I gotta say, Mike, Andrew, and the rest of the gang, they're like the Tom Brady's of cybersecurity. I like to think of myself as an armchair cybersecurity expert now, amongst my friends and family. I'm the guy, I kind of don't quite know what I'm talking about, but I can pretend, as I've absorbed things from this with my friends and family, like, oh, you shouldn't click on that. And so, yes, I'm an armchair cybersecurity expert.
As I have said to others, I go, they perceive me to be an expert. And I go, no. Because I am fortunate enough to interview some of the smartest people in cybersecurity, I absorb some knowledge. And just by editing videos,
Right.
I'm sure that has happened with you as well. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. We're going to bring on our audio editors right now. We greatly appreciate you participating as well. This is, by the way, going swimmingly. Kudos to Aaron, who has been bringing everybody on and off. I said, if we can successfully get all 15 people on and off, this will be an unbelievable miracle. And also keep to time, which so far we're doing great. So we're almost, well, I will mention that as well. So here we are. We have our editors right now. This is Brian Becker, the gentleman with the glorious beard. And also we have Mark Zorinsky, who will be joining us in just a second. Hopefully Mark is joining us. Thank you, guys. You know, I will mention that early on, you know, one person that I would have on again also is Andrew Friels, because prior to the two of you, Andrew was editing all the shows. But now we have so many shows, and Andrew's overseeing it, and he got the two of you up to speed on the style of editing. But you know, you guys are experienced editors. Mark, we don't know where Mark is, so we're just gonna chat with Brian right now. Hopefully, Mark will make an appearance soon.
Yeah,
Mark is lost in the ether, it says. Okay, so Brian, here's my question to you, because a lot of people, and I know this has happened, and I'm going to admit that I was guilty of this myself. They think, oh, a podcast, you record it and then you publish it, right? And the answer is no. What happened? What is happening? Ah, Mark's coming on. Mark, good to see you. So did you hear my question, Mark?
Oh.
Mark, can we hear you? Oh, no, your audio. Check your audio. And then you may need to refresh your thing. Answer my question, Brian, while Mark's dealing with that.
So yeah, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. So yeah, you record it, and then no matter how good somebody's recording setup is, no matter, you know, a lot of this stuff is over Zoom nowadays. Even if it's not in a studio, there's background noise, there's, you know, reverb, and what I'm doing right now, where saying a lot, there's a lot of knows. All of that generally has to get taken out. So
yeah, like in a single like 35, like the CISO series podcast is about 35 minutes long. How many cuts are you making in a show, would you say?
I would say between like 100 to 200 cuts. Like that's
100 to 200 cuts.
I think that's like on a really good show.
We're not flubbing up too much.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mark, can we hear you, by the way?
Yeah.
Mark, go ahead and talk.
I'm not
Oh,
sure. How's my audio now?
oh, now I can hear you. Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, although there's something a little distorted with your
It's
audio.
a little
Try to
delayed,
rephrase.
but we can't hear you.
Go ahead and talk, Mark.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Am I good?
Yeah, go ahead. Explain to us what you don't think the audience sort of understands with sort of the post-production process of a podcast. Can you hear me, Mark?
Well, I think Brian already explained a bit there with.
Well, what would you add
yeah,
to
can you
that?
can you hear me
Yes,
now?
we can hear you. Unfortunately, it's distorted, but go ahead.
Sorry, I think there might be a bit of a delay.
Yeah, there's a delay. So what? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, just to jump on Brian there, I would say, yeah, but 100 to 200 cuts is a good average for a 35-minute
Yeah,
episode. And aside from that, there's a lot to do with shaping the voice to sort of match the tone between speakers, so it sounds cohesive, and dealing with just, you know, things to do with different people's mics, pick up implosives a little more, or kind of like clicky sounds and things that are a little bit maybe irritating to listen to for a long time. So we're kind of trying to smooth out the audio so it's a good listening experience.
And let me just give you enormous kudos, because I'm sure you're not hearing it, but I hear it constantly, how much the audience appreciates the quality of the show. And that is very much, you know, I'll start with, you know, Andrew and myself, we started obsessing about recording quality. We actually require our guests to always have a wired microphone of some sort, so we gather some decent audio. But then the work that you do with Andrew is spectacular, and it's the reason we keep hearing this again and again about the quality show. So I just want to say huge thank you to both of you for consistently making our shows sound awesome. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
By the way, I got to assume the two of you, since you listen to all these shows, you've learned something about cybersecurity, yes?
Just a bit, yeah. Picked up a
Mark?
couple things here and there.
Yes.
So things are sinking in, I think.
Sinking in. All right. Thank you, Brian, Mark. Thank you so much for all your awesome work. Let's bring on our reporters for cybersecurity headlines. I was just given a note here that cybersecurity headlines, so little stats for everybody. It is our fastest growing show on the network. There is Steve Prentice, who you hear also on many of our sponsored segments as well. It is close to 2 million downloads since we started just a little over 2 years ago. There it is. Oh, you got the mic flag in time. Awesome. I just sent
came
that
in the mail
a few
today.
days ago.
Yeah,
I'm
just came in the mail
amazed
today.
it came so quickly. That's amazing.
The United States Postal Service, neither sleet nor snow nor mild 40-degree temperatures, I guess.
All right, let me give you guys some kudos here. Fastest growing show on the network. We're just barely under 2 million. I mean, I think within a week or so, we'll be over. In about 2 weeks, we'll be over 2 million downloads of the show. The show has grown 20-fold since we launched. In addition, many of you, I don't know if you know, but there's another podcaster by the name of Gerald Auger who does a meta show where he plays our show and then comments on all the stories. He gets about 800 to 1,000 people who listen just to that show alone as well. So it is really exploded. And the one thing that I've heard repeatedly from security leaders is I've heard it's required listening by many staff, by students as well. And another CISO says, I listen all the day and at least one story a week comes up in one of our meetings. So I greatly appreciate all your awesome work on that. Let me ask the three of you, you've been doing this all for a while. What do you think has changed in cybersecurity news in general?
I'll start out. I think there is maybe a little fatigue with the day-by-day stuff, just because, at least in the reporting that I've seen, where like ransomware has just even the course of 3 years, obviously it's been an ongoing thing for a number of years, but like seeing if it's not a state-sponsored attack, if it's not impacting millions of people, if it's not an Australian telco, it might be something where it's almost like a shrug at this point, and that is kind of shocking. So sometimes kind of grounding those stories when they warrant it. Obviously, like part of the thing that we've been dealing with over the last couple of years is like, how do we what criteria do we have to report on these, given that they're increasingly common? So I think like the scale of the landscape has kind of impacted the reporting to a certain degree.
Sean, what have you seen? And I should mention, this was one of the fears. I'm just saying, there was like, I'm getting exhausted just seeing who just got ransomware today. Like, this is getting exhausted. Like, I know it's news, but it's people are hearing. It's like they're hearing the same story over and over again. Yet it's still news. So we're trying to evolve beyond that, but it's hard because it's important. Sean.
Yeah, full agreement on that. I think we're getting a little burnout on the ransomware stories, yet if it is still prevalent.
Sean is thinking deeply and pensively. Okay. So while he is doing that, I'll jump in. One of the things that I like to do when I put these shows together, or the stories, look for the stories, is to try and get inside a CISO's head and say, what would you like to know about? There's the technical goings on right now, but there's also the corollary ones that would get people thinking, what would you do in this situation? So we don't always have that ransomware of the day story, but a combination of things that are directly important, like here's the name of a new virus or new malware you got to know about, but also some of the more lateral concepts, especially as Larry said in the comments here, that the people continue to be the single easiest weak link to bring the vampires into the house. We gotta stress that all the time.
Good point. Back to you, Sean. I'm sorry.
Did I cut out?
Point to you. Go ahead, Sean.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could hear you fine. I was going to say, we are getting burnout on the ransomware stories. I think we've talked about it as a team. How do we cover this and still show that it is prevalent? It is something we need to report on, but not give everybody an eye roll. So I think Steve's ransomware roundup has really helped. I think Rich's you should probably patch that segment has helped us to sort of collapse the many bugs that are out there that need to be paid attention to. Obviously cloud security and the cyber warfare aspect is grown and come to the forefront with Russia, Ukraine, although it's been there. for a while, but I'm just as fascinated by some of the things that haven't changed. I've been in cyber for 20 years, only with the show for a year and a half, but social engineering and the fact that it still works, it's going to continue to work. And how do we combat those things? Patching. We know that we should be patching, and no one likes to talk about asset inventories, but you can't secure what you don't know you have. So I look at it from all aspects. I think it's super fascinating, and I love being, part of the show.
So Steve, I'm sorry, you can't hear Sean, because Sean, we could all hear him, but you can hear me. Yes, Steve?
Oh, yes, I can hear you.
But you can't hear Sean?
No, Sean's channel, interestingly enough, Sean's channel has frozen up for me. Everybody else is live, so that's an interesting...
Oh, well, that's bizarre. Well,
yeah.
We can all hear him. I'm sorry that Sean, but we all can
I can hear
Sean.
everybody. Okay.
So Steve was not interrupting Sean, where everyone else could hear you. It came off that you were interrupting Sean.
Oh, I'm so terribly sorry.
I'm so worried about it. By the way, I just want to mention,
on.
many of you may not know, but Steve Prentice is the producer also of our Week in Review show that he works on with Rich Straffolino. So he queues up all the stories that Rich does with our guest, who we have. It's Sarah, with Sarah Lazarus we have today, right?
Sarah Lazarus, yep.
With who's the head of security over at Stavvy. She'll be joining us. And if you haven't listened to that, that's, it's interesting. When that show started, it had a hard time coming, but now its traffic numbers are just the same as everything else. So it's doing great, that show as well. So kudos on you. Yeah, the show just keeps going up and up. And by the way, audience, if you haven't told your friends about the show, please do tell them about it. We'd like that. Couple of things we'd like to know. Audience, if you are yourself, or some really good technical journalists who know cybersecurity very well, send them my way. We're working on another project, and we'd love to talk to them. So please send them my way. I need some they got to be very technical, really know cybersecurity well, and can write. That is key as well. Let me just keep an eye on time. Yes, we got a good amount of time. What are the stories you like the most, Rich?
Anytime Ben Gurion University publishes anything. This is like my hack answer, but I love it so much. Whenever they're like, hey, we found out that we can exfiltrate from an air gap system over router lights, or like the buzz of the AC system if we hack that and patch that in. Those are the greatest stories of all time. Outside of those novelty stories that we get like twice a year or something like that, I really like anything where we are seeing I'm fascinated by cybercrime as like boring corporate culture. Anytime we get insights, like all of the leaks that we've had into Conti and stuff like that, like whenever I see these operating as very traditional, like they have development teams, they have the same organizational problems that large organizations have. That to me is like fascinating from almost like from a sociology perspective. Like I like studying that organization and getting insight into that is super fascinating to me. That cyber criminals also have boring jobs sometimes, and I find that very encouraging.
They have customer support too as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like all of that is just super fascinating. I love it.
Steve, Sean, what would you add to that?
Steve doesn't want to interrupt.
Steve. Okay, Sean's talking. Steve, just so you know, I'll cue you. Sean, go ahead.
This is beautiful. Yeah, I would say, almost any of them I find interesting. Some of them do get a little bit mundane with the bug of the week or the day really anymore. But I do love the stories about collaboration, things that, ISC squared having an entry level cert exam, anything that kind of lifts the whole industry up is interesting to me. Some regulations, yes, some are more window dressing, but I do love anything that kind of propels the industry forward and us forward as cyber professionals. Those are the type that I really, love to get excited about reporting on.
So Steve, should just everyone point out, everyone, Sean is actually a practitioner, unlike Steve and Rich, who are merely journalists. Ugh.
Disgusting.
But Sean is the real deal. Now, Steve, I'll let you have the last word here. Your favorite kinds of stories. We just got a few seconds left.
Yeah, just absolutely human ingenuity on either side, the good side or the bad side. Ever since I read about Stuxnet and how that worked, any story that shows the brilliance of human beings on the white hat side or on the dark side, that's what I always look for. I just love that.
All right. So we are. Hold on. Am I doing this? Am I doing my timing right? Yeah. We have to bring on Jonna Till Johnson. Let's bring on Jonna. There is Jonna. So, for those you don't know, because we only did 4 episodes of the show, Jonna is the host of the Capture the CISO show. And Jonna, why don't you explain to everybody what that show is? Because not nearly as many people have heard that show as have heard the other shows. And by the way, we're currently not in season, which we'll get back in season on the show. Explain. Jonna, can you hear me? Do you know that you're on, Jonna?
I can. It's just I'm coming. It's coming in both. It's coming in double. Oh, I see what the problem is.
Do you have 2 windows open, Jonna?
I have 2 windows open. Look at me.
Look at that. All right, Jonna, explain Capture the CISO to the person who has not yet been initiated.
It's easy. It's Shark Tank for CISOs and Shark Tank for security vendors minus the live pitch. What we did was we said, okay, you can come on and pitch your product, but first you're going to create a video and let everybody go look at it. Make sure that the CISOs who are assessing your product have a chance to come up to speed in this ahead of time. And then they come prepared asking the questions that we hope are the questions that the audience would like to know the answers to. And from my perspective, they're doing an excellent job. I have CISOs coming up to me saying, these guys are asking the questions I would have liked to have asked. It's great because what it does is it distills down a whole set of ideas and capabilities into a handful of tangible benefits and where they apply. And the nice thing, and just to go on a little bit, I'm a bit passionate about it, but the nice thing about it is that it's not hostile and that the panel of CISO judges is always looking to find where the product is a fit, if not for their organizations. And that helps a lot because somebody can come in and look at this and say, oh, you might not work for me, but you would work for this other type of organization.
I'm going to tell you a perfect example of that. We did a short first season, which you can go listen to the show, Capture the CISO, find it on our site, podcast app, wherever. We have 4 episodes. They all came out great. So happy with the results. You did an awesome job of it. One of the companies that came in dead last, and I can't stress this enough, actually 2 of the companies came in dead last. We heard from multiple CISOs that they were talked about on a CISO channel, because it didn't work for one, just like you described, but worked for others. And from that, they were getting some meetings as a result of it. So I love hearing the stories. It's people who did not succeed on the show because it is also a competitive show. They just hear that. And I heard from other CISOs saying, this is the perfect show I want to listen to. I can be the fly on the wall listening to my colleagues talk to the vendors without having been locked into a conversation with a vendor, being in their marketing funnel and all that kind of stuff. And that really was our goal with that. And also to get people to make demo videos, which they all should do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I'll just sort of add to that and highlight, the people that came in dead last still achieved great interest. I think, I'm a technology practitioner. I'm a former CTO. And I'm also one of those dread analysts, the people that create magic quadrants and rate vendors. And these guys are good and those guys are bad. And the thing that always bothers me is there's no such thing as universally good products or universally bad products. They're products that fit or don't fit a set of use cases that exist or don't exist. And that, I think, is the sort of hidden value of the show, is that it pulls out the use cases. So it allows people to make that kind of assessment very quickly.
Let me ask you, excuse me, because we were talking about this, and we, after we do a show, we take a look and see, we tweak a little thing, tweak a little there. By the way, I can't begin to tell you the amount of heavy lifting that took to get this thing to go on the air. Oh, it was a lot. The net result came out spectacularly, but oh, wow. Nobody wants to know the sausage that went into that. So what would your advice be to a vendor coming on the show, how they could best succeed?
Well, I'll give you tactical advice and I'll give you strategic advice.
Please.
The tactical advice, please know your own tagline. I can't tell you how many times we had to reshoot because the person would give us their tagline and marketing would call up and be like, that's not our tagline. And it's stupid, but it's actually kind of important because if you don't know your tagline, you really don't know. That's kind of the North
be on your
Star.
Website too.
Yeah, and that's the North Star of what you exist for.
All right.
And well, the strategic answer, I think, is really know your use cases.
Oh, yes. how they would use it. Yes. And we make it super clear what they're going to be rated on, because they're going to be rated on a series of things. Anyways, we are going to get season 2 going. Audience, if you are interested in being part of Capture the CISO, contact me directly and we'll get you on board with Capture the CISO. All contestants are also sponsors of the CISO series. Thank you very much, Jonah. Let's bring all our other hosts back on. Thank you. Oh, we are smoking it on time. Let's give a big round of applause in the chat room to our producer, Aaron Diaz, who is kicking it producing this show today. There comes Mr. Andy Ellis. And there's Mr. Jeff Belknap, and we will have our other two producers, or two co-hosts there. So let me also remind you, let's just do the quick wrap up right now, and I can't mention all this stuff, but go ahead, click the link at the bottom of the screen right now. If you have not clicked that link, please click it now, because we're going to change it. And you know what? I'm going to say this to Aaron. Aaron, change it in 10 seconds to our meetup link. What's going to happen, I'm going to just sort of do some final things. I want to thank our sponsor, Trend Micro. Thank you so much for sponsoring our anniversary show. You guys have been around for a long time, a lot longer than we've been around. But we are thrilled that you've been with us really since year one. So we've greatly appreciated it. And, you know, they've been dealing with cloud security with the major 3 players out there for quite some time. And so to have a great conversation about cloud security innovation next week, I'm very much looking forward to that as well. This is, all right. So yes. So the link has changed. Everyone can click on the link down there. These 4 gentlemen and myself, we're going to be playing Quiplash, which you can play along too. And we're going to have a chat as well. We want you to all come and join us. Please join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. Just click the link at the bottom of the screen. We're going to wrap up in just 3 minutes. All right. Any last thoughts from all our hosts? I'll start with you, Andy. Last thoughts to our audience right now.
Y'all have been fantastic. As much as we're the ones you listen to, you are the ones that listen, and you're the ones that it's for. And I love all of the feedback. Like the What's Worse episodes are great. Who's got the worst?
I need more What's
idea.
Worse. Send those in. Yeah.
Send more What's Worse, and make them much harder, because some of them are not as hard as you think they are.
And don't send them to Andy. Only send them to me. I don't want
send
them
a copy to me, and I'll proofread them first.
No, do not send them to Andy at all. Jeff, any last thoughts for our audience?
2 things. One, just a quick reminder that if at all possible, most of the services that you use support 2FA, and you should turn that on and use it. Even better if you're using a hardware security key. And 2, all of your friends' phones, when they leave them unlocked, make sure that they're subscribed to the CISO Series podcast that you find the most entertaining.
Yes, you could just do that.
Just help them enjoy it.
Yeah. And go to Amazon and pre-order my book from their phone.
Pre-order Andy's book and subscribe to all our shows. That's the best tip.
Alexa, buy 1% Leadership from Andy Ellis.
There you go. Steve Zalewski.
I'm going to close with 4 years going into the 5th, right? I think defense in depth still has a ways to run. I think I'm looking forward to working with Jeff and you and our audience to continue to push some of that maverick thinking and to really provide, continued support for our CISO community on the practical ways of being a CISO. And with that, I'll say, and so to the audience, if you have ideas, right, if there are areas that you think you want us to push on or talk about, let us know, because obviously we're only as good as our audience. And so let's make year 5 the best yet. And so continue to support us and let us know what you want.
Thank you. All right. I lit you, and I'm going to remind everybody, click the link at the bottom, because we're going to play the game. It's going to be fun. And, I'm going to explain this all to everybody right now before I throw it to you, Mike. When you go to Toucan, in the upper right corner, there's a slider where you can actually change the volume, where you hear more of the people speaking on the stage or less of the people speaking on stage. So if you want to just hear your own chat and just kind of watch the game and not hear us, you can do that. Or if you want to hear us, you can slide it up and down. Just letting everybody know how that works, so I don't have to explain it again there. So, or I may mention it one more time. Mike, you get the very last word. You were the first co-host.
So I have 2 things I want to say. So first, thank you to the audience for listening to us all this time and giving us feedback and helping us improve along the way. But David, I want to thank you for reaching out all those years ago for us to sit down and have that lunch, that, you know, like, hey, let's do a podcast. And genuinely, it's changed my life for the positive. I really enjoy this show. So thank you for reaching out to me all that time ago. And I'm glad to see that it keeps going. And I hope we keep just going on and on and on forever at infinitum.
That's what I'm hoping as well. All right. I have to thank everybody. We are at time. Huge thanks to Aaron right now, because he pulled off what I thought was impossible, bringing all 15 guests on with very minimal hiccups, as minimal as they get, pretty much nothing. That was awesome. Thank you, the audience. Everybody click the link on the bottom of the screen. Take us out.